Today, we're turning the tables on one of her own, and she's completely okay with it.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Calling All Vegans. I'm Sue Spar. This is my friend and co-host, Alec Jose.
Hey, everybody. Great to see everyone.
When it comes to achieving animal liberation, there should be no such thing as competition and ego, only collaboration because we have a mutual ethical goal. Our guest definitely walks this walk, and we greatly respect and admire her for this. We're sitting down with the creator and host of the popular Vegan Nation, a 1-hour vegan music and radio program broadcast weekly on Thursdays on community station WCUW 91.3. How was that? As she says, the vegan evolution revolution has begun. Please welcome Marlene Narrow to Calling All Vegans. Yay, hi.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sue. Thank you, Alec. And thank you, everyone who's tuning in.
And look at that bling above your head.
Yeah, that's quite the setup you have there today.
Very
Yes,
fast.
I'm joining you from the Evolve Cultural Unity Spiritual Center in Cherry Valley, Massachusetts, USA.
Oh, very
Awesome.
nice. Good
Very
to
cool.
hear. Now, Miss Marlene, where were you and what were you doing on January 2nd, 2015?
Oh, yes. That was my first show of Vegan Nation at the radio station in Worcester, Massachusetts, WCUW 91.3 FM.
And I made sure
And-
that you said Worcester because I wasn't attempting it.
That sounds too saucy.
That's right. Yes.
So, who came up with the name of the show, and what was the motivation for go ahead and starting up the show?
Yes. Well, I've been a vegan for many years, and I was commuting into work, into the city, and I happened to be driving by this radio station, and I had the radio station on 91.3 FM in my truck. And they were asking for anyone who would like to be hosting a music show on Sundays. So there's approximately 100 volunteers at WCUW, many genres of music. And so it was for world music. And I thought, wow, vegan music, there's so much fabulous artists and musicians in the vegan world, yet I never hear any airtime for them. So I thought, hey, I had no radio experience. I just had a hunch and a strong intuition to stop. And this was actually on a Sunday. I was teaching a weekend class. So I stopped at the station and I spoke with the on-air DJ, who is Barry, who runs a Irish music show. And he said, well, stop in when the director is here. So I stopped in again during the week. And I just wanted to get my foot in the door. I thought I'd be dusting records and CDs because it has a large record and CD album library. And he explained to me what the live show was. It was just 3 hours of music being a live DJ. And I thought, ooh. And he said, that isn't going to work for you, but I have a slot open that you could have a radio show and doing interviews.
What?
And he said, what would you name it? And I didn't even think. It just came off the top of my head intuitively. I said, Vegan Nation.
Beautiful. Very
It just
good.
came out and he said, that's perfect. And so he said, okay, you can start January 2nd. And I walked, and this was November, and I walked out thinking, oh my God.
Uh-oh.
I've never done interviews. How am I going to do this? And so I'm greatly honored to be interviewed by you, Calling All Vegans. Like you said, this is all a collaboration of freedom and health, this whole paradigm shift on this planet into normalized nonviolence. So thank you, Sue. Thank you, Alec.
Oh, our
Thank you.
pleasure. Now, what time is the broadcast? And I'll do the follow-up question afterwards.
Sure. The broadcast is currently 4:30 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Eastern time?
Eastern time, thank you, yes. And fortunately, when there's other slots, WCUW is 24/7. So sometimes when there's other slots open, the director has been playing airing replays of Vegan Nation, which has aired once a week since 2015. So there's a lot of archive shows. So I'm fortunate that there's many other time slots that one could hear Vegan Nation, but it is always 4:30 to 5. And it may start again at 4, but currently Assumption College, which is Worcester has 10 colleges, and Assumption College right now has their students in that 4 to 4:30 time slot, which is, I think, a very exciting show as well. And so I'm honored that I'm following them currently. So right now it's 4:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time.
That's actually a premium time slot, if you ask me, but.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Well,
I think I stole one of his questions. That's what's happened there.
it's okay. So you said it. What again is the location that you do your recordings again? What town are you in?
Worcester, Massachusetts.
Say that 3 times quickly, huh?
But that being said, even if people aren't able to pick up the off-the-air broadcast, you also do a stream online, correct? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so online, it live streams at WCUW.org, and then the direct link is WCUW.org/listen.
Okay.
So that's the direct internet line to the 24/7 broadcasts of the WCUW radio station, and Vegan Nation is Thursdays, every Thursday, currently 4:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. So all the radio stations on the East Coast are W. On the West Coast is K. And so it's W, and then CU, it's CU because the radio station actually started in 1920 at Clark University. And that's why it's the call letter CU. And it was Robert Goddard, who was a founder of the rocket science world, who happened to have a passion for radio, started it in one of the basement buildings at Clark University. And then in the 70s, it was transferred into community radio. So it's no longer Clark University, it's now community radio, which is exciting because it's community, so therefore it's non-corporate sponsorship. So that's why, as you know, we can have a voice, a vegan voice, which is mostly censored everywhere. If it involves NPR, which public radio is also funded by institutions such as the pharmaceutical industry. And so therefore, we're hearing mainstream news even on public broadcasts. But community is not, it is free speech.
That's right.
Nice.
Well, every day is a school day. I didn't know how radio call letters worked.
Yeah.
So now, do you do all of the work of scheduling and researching and script writing and promo and write-ups and all of that? That's my job. Alec does the techie stuff.
Oh, yes. Yes, I do. So it was an open page. It was what to do. And I started with my first interview on January 2nd, 2015 was Dr. Will Tuttle, the author of the World Peace Diet.
Amazing,
and
gentleman.
Because I am a World Peace Diet facilitator.
Yeah.
And so that's my foundation in veganism. So actually he was my first interview. And so prior to that interview at the community radio station, they have what's called day captains who are there to help newbies like me to learn the board and what to do. So that was the training. And then the director has been available to help me when I need help technologically. And so it was just going from there, going with the flow of interviewing and then scheduling who to interview. And so I do my best to get a wide variety of people, and I'm sure you do too, because your show really rocks. So it's really great to hear voices that we are well known in the community, but also to hear about all the work that many vegans are doing who are in the backwoods somewhere that you'd never know it. And here they are doing fabulous work in their own way to promote veganism, which of course is inclusive compassion, normalized nonviolence, intentional harmlessness, and non-discriminatory justice.
Yeah, no, we're of the same mind there. That's exactly, we want to hear calling all vegans. So
absolutely. So
yeah.
how many guests have you interviewed on your show thus far? And if you were able to choose any one person, do you have the ideal guest that you'd like to line up?
Well, I would really love to have Alec and Sue as my guest on Vegan Nation in 2021. So let's plan that. You're at the top of the list.
Yeah, move over,
Yes.
Joaquin. Step aside, Joaquin. And how many have you interviewed, do you figure? Just a rough.
Well, let's see. So 52 weeks a year since 2015. Wow, 5 years, whatever that is. So it's pretty much
106?
been an interview per show. So 4 different people every month since 2015. So I don't know the number, but it's a lot. And not all the shows are interviews, almost all of them. Sometimes I will, with permission, rebroadcast someone else's, say, live stream of, say, for example, DXE, when they've done some of their open rescues. Or I'm just using them as an example. Many different organizations who are working. Sometimes I'll do that, but mostly it's interviews. And of course, I try to get in as much music as I can.
Now, I know it's probably unfair to ask you because I would really hate to be put on the spot with this question, but what has been your favorite or best interview, would you say?
Oh,
I know.
well, you know, I really can't say that I have a favorite. I really value everyone. And what I do have to say is I learned from one of my guests that she runs a kids vegan organization. And so when I interviewed her, I was really excited because previously I had interviewed 2 of those children who were in that organization. And one is a very powerful, wise, amazing young Black girl in California on the West Coast of USA. And the other one who I had interviewed, like I think 2 or 3 years later, was a young white boy on the East Coast in Florida. And they were both, and so I mentioned to her, and I mentioned their names, and she said, oh, you know what, could you please not do that, because then the other kids might feel left out. You know, if you name the 2 who you had interviewed. And of course, they're the most popular. And meaning that they've had the most exposure media.
Yeah.
They're all popular for who they are and the work they do. And so when she said that, it really stuck with me. And I thought, wow, you know, maybe I have to think about that even in the adult world, even though I understand where it's coming from, especially with children.
Yeah.
And so, you know, especially when I get the opportunity to interview really big name people in the movement, I'm like, oh, and I thought, you know what? Everybody else is just as important. So
Exactly.
but I really, yeah.
This is why we love you. Now, I'm an introvert and I prefer that others take the microphone at events. And so doing this show kind of completely flies in the face of that. But I'll do anything for animals, no matter how uncomfortable it makes me feel. Are you a natural for this gig, do you think? Or is this kind of painful for you?
Well, I would say that I feel the same as you. I feel like we just need to get the message out and to let go of the ego, or to let go of, oh, you know, what is someone thinking of me personally? Yes, or the vision or any of that. So I feel the same way as you. So I wouldn't say that it's very natural for me because I never had that experience of interviewing, or this experience of here being interviewed. So I would say it's just like you said, our motivation to keep spreading the message to help end the cycle of suffering on this planet.
Oh, God, I love this woman.
So can you tell us a little bit about your vegan backstory? What was it that kind of woke you up to think about the choices that we're making and how that relates to the other animals in the world?
Yes. I would say that it came through naturally and gradually. And I don't know why. I just think it's a mystery. So I think about my life in high school, I was very passionate about anti-war, that type of violence. But I have never had any awareness or any experience with feminism or veganism or animal rights or any of that. And of course, I was like all of us, naturally an animal lover, like
Right.
everyone, really 99.9% of the human population are. And so I always felt strong about that as anti-war. So I remember hearing, of bombings going around the world, and, I'd hear someone saying, "Hey, USA first," and I'd be horrified, thinking, this is massive suffering to the humans and the animals and the earth. It just made no sense. And then in my early adulthood, I became very strong in the feminist movement, but I still was not vegan. I didn't make any connection. Just again, at what I think that's why I call it the vegan evolution revolution. I think the consciousness is infiltrating into our minds, and so it's taken time. So I was very strong in the feminist movement and to help stop violence against women. So I was doing a lot of work with local Worcester groups involved with that. And then it was around that time that I started getting the consciousness of the animals. And so that's when I became vegetarian, but I was still eating dairy and eggs. And then I was going to a local farm, dairy farm, to buy the raw milk. And I was buying eggs from a friend, a neighbor who had the free range, small egg operation. And then when I had the first-hand experience of seeing these animals, and we all know the horror of what goes on in all the animal exploitation industries, including the dairy and egg, and that's when I started to get the awakening of, wow, vegetarianism is not it. It really needs to be vegan. And I started getting exposed to veganism, and primarily through 2 restaurants in Worcester, which is Loving Hut, which is an international chain of vegan restaurants. And Worcester happens to have 2 of them, which is really great. And so once I started frequently frequenting that restaurant, I started to get exposed to more vegans and more vegan understanding, vegan philosophy. And one of them had the World Peace Diet book on their little book stand with some other books. And so I happened to pick it up while I was waiting for my order. And I was flipping through it, and I thought, oh, this is great. And I bought it. And then that's when I went full into deep veganism.
Wow.
And then, as you know, it keeps getting deeper and better from there.
And so cool that Will Tuttle was your first guest. So that must have been pretty phenomenal for you then. Now, actually, speaking of that, we love Dr. Will Tuttle and Madeline Tuttle, and we have the pleasure of sitting down with them individually. And you are a World Peace Diet facilitator, as you've said. How did you go about getting accredited?
It was an online course. So I actually happened to have read on my own the book 3 times. I've never read a book 3 times. Yeah, I was just enthralled with it. And so and then I went online and I saw that he was offering a course to become a facilitator. And so it's kind of just completing more like academic studies, I'd say, with the book and answering questions and such like that. So it's completing that online course becomes a facilitator, which is really just about helping to spread the core message of deep veganism or the World Peace Diet. And so I'm grateful that was my introduction into veganism. So I've always had a holistic attitude and understanding of it, that health, human health, environmental health, spiritual health, animal liberation, it's the full package. And I understand that many times we as vegan activists will put our energy into one focus of veganism, and that's fine because everyone has their certain passion. Someone that may be whole foods, plant-based, someone else that's animal rights. Yet I've always had the vision and always kept it in my mind about the scope of veganism. And meaning that it really is, to me, the ultimate way of returning to the Garden of Eden, so to speak, on earth.
Right, definitely. So you kind of use this term, the Herdernick Carnist death style. Uh,
That's a pretty sexy term. That's a sexy term.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? And do you think that we're going to be?
Yeah, I don't, yeah, I say it as it is, which I think, yeah, is natural. You know, that's, I think what we're supposed to do is just speak how we see it, even though some of the words may sound pretty bold.
Yeah.
You know, like I think of it as vegans behaving boldly.
Mhm.
And so herderic comes from the term in the world peace diet. So that really is Will Tuttle's term, herderic, meaning that it was really approximately 10,000 years ago when mankind started to herd the wild animals. So there was, starting with wild sheep, wild goats, and a few thousand years later, wild cattle. And then to start owning them, which then becomes the animals, instead of free living, become the property of mankind.
Right.
And then that was the initiation into slavery in the human arena. And then that was also the beginning of misogyny, the subjugation of women, because females were starting to be looked at simply as breeders. Oh, just impregnate them, they give birth, then you own the woman, the females, you own the babies. And that was sort of that whole patriarchal lineage started coming down throughout all the centuries. And so that's what the word herderic means, meaning that a mankind, a society, which is worldwide, starts herding animals, meaning owning them, enslaving them.
Right.
And then that leads to devastation everywhere. And the philosophy is boomerang effect, meaning what we do to the non-human animals, our non-human brothers and sisters, is eventually going to rebound back to humanity. Like kind of as we sow, we reap, what goes around comes around.
Right.
And so for us to really be free, truly be free, we need to free those who we're enslaving. And so that would be to be, you know, to eliminate animal agriculture and other animal exploitation industries and to transform it. So it's really, if we really look deeply, it's not a detriment to any societal problem for humans, because everyone can come into some business that involves plants. You know, so it's not saying we want you to not survive, just transform what we have going on. And so speaking of that, the term death style, I actually heard first from Renee King Sonnen of Rowdy Girl Sanctuary.
Yeah.
Yes. And so as many know, she and her husband had a cattle ranch in Texas, USA, and they transformed it into a vegan sanctuary and vegan education center and veganic gardening. So she's a great example, and she's helping ranches, other ranches, do that as well with the rancher advocacy program and other people who are on her team to do that. But it was actually her who came up, who first said to me the death style, and that makes sense to me. It's like, okay, we've got the vegan lifestyle and the carnist death style.
Yeah, I love
so
it.
yes, I use the word carnist. I knew the word carnism was out there, but I never heard the word carnist being used. And so I actually looked it up on a search engine. I couldn't find anything with it, so I just started using it. So I just don't really like using the word non-vegan, even though I know it's the polite way, but I don't know, just when I hear non-vegan.
Oh, like it
so
is.
I thought, well, if there was a word that could describe being what that is, and I know we could say pre-vegans, but I know some people get offended by that, like how presumptuous to think, for you to think I'm gonna go vegan, you know? So I thought, well, I'll just start using the word carnist. So I added the E to it there. And I know sometimes some people feel like it's derogatory, but it's not a derogatory term. It's a descriptive term, just like vegan is descriptive, not derogatory. But I really think carnist says what it's about, because it's having the word carn in it, body, that if we're using somebody else or exploiting them or harming them, that we're harming their body or their life or their labor or their freedom or anything. It's still all related to someone's body, whether they're human or non-human.
This is true. Yeah. Well, not Will Tuttle, Silas Rao uses the term lifeline instead of deadline when he's referring to, you know, us moving towards vegan world 2026. So it's in the same vein.
Yes. Yeah, that.
Do you find it frustrating or deflating when animal activists join the fight against other human isms and obias like racism, sexism, transphobia, etc., but that human rights proponents don't return the favor and stand up against speciesism?
Yes, I have to say that that is frustrating to me. I think frustrating is the right word. And I understand that we just need to keep patient in that everyone's blooming at their own time. I always think of veganism like a garden, and that not all the plants are blooming at the same time. And so for whatever mystery, and I think personally that has something to do with our soul, individually and collectively, why some people are open to non-discrimination, which is veganism.
Hmm.
So it's saying no matter who you are as a being on this planet, right? We're just born, whether animal or human, right? Here we are, and we all have the same, as you know, the same emotions and desires. And so when I see in 2020 human rights activists fighting for human rights, but at the same time doing opposite of what they want for us as humans to the non-humans.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so I keep trying to spread that message, but I have to say a lot of people don't like hearing it.
A placard in one hand and a chicken leg in the other, huh?
Right, right. So I can understand when they don't know, because like I think back when I was into the peace movement and the feminist movement strong, I didn't know. But yet, I think we're in a different, a different decade now with 2020 where the word vegan is out there. And so what I'm finding is a lot of resistance.
Hmm.
I mean, really intense resistance to veganism when we share about the vegan message. And really, I keep coming back to veganism is freedom. And really, veganism is intentional harmlessness, normalized nonviolence. Speaking of Salish Rao, that's what he came up with that term when I first heard it, normalized nonviolence from Dr. Salish Rao. Inclusive compassion and non-discriminatory justice.
Hmm.
And so I really think that we just need to keep strong in all social justice movements, keep spreading this message of veganism is essential. And I think it's truly essential because I believe that we cannot end misogyny, oppression, violence,
Hmm.
exploitation, or discrimination in the human arena unless we co-create a vegan world,
Absolutely.
a vegan paradigm.
Yeah, there's this little thing called the internet, so I don't think people have much excuse anymore. So I guess
Yeah.
final question, who can we look forward to next on Vegan Nation?
Oh, for the upcoming interviews?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Sue and Alec of Calling All Vegans, of course. Thank you. And this Thursday, well, who's coming up is a couple in West Virginia, Massachusetts.
Mhm.
Their name is Joseph and Jessica Seckman. They're a young couple with a young family, young children, and they're fabulous. They're just amazing. And they are the messenger of the Universal and Apostolic Church.
Sounds
And
good.
they follow a teaching of the Gospel of the Holy 12.
Okay, look forward
And
to it.
it's really fascinating to me of their interpretation of Jesus's teaching at that time when he walked the earth of God as love being feminine and masculine, mother and father, as well as veganism and anti-animal liberation and all that. So that's going to be interesting. They're also very much into, they're obviously vegan, and foraging in the woods for food, even in the winter. So they're going to be given tips of how we can find food in the woods or where we live. So
Cool.
that's coming up as well. And also Laura Chepner is an author in Manchester, United Kingdom. And she has written a book, Vegucated, a teacher's guide to vegan inclusive teaching to help school teachers veganize their syllabus and curriculum. And she's an educational consultant, a primary educational consultant. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And there's many others who are coming up as well. Did you want me to talk more? Or
Oh, that's
those
good.
are the recent ones?
Interesting guest. So that's what I love. Like you, right across the spectrum. So that's what makes you so interesting as well.
Mhm. So if you don't mind, can you share the ways people can get in touch with you, where they can watch your show or listen to your show, reach out to you to possibly find out more about the different things that you're doing and that sort of stuff?
Sure, thank you. Yes, so my contact is at the radio station, which is WCUW 91.3 FM. And so my email is Marlene Narrow at WCUW.org.
Okay.
So that's MARLENE like a narrow road, not a narrow mind.
Oh, I love that.
And again, if people want to listen to your show, they want to listen to your previous ones and they want to listen to it live, the websites for those?
Sure. Yes. So the live is in the airwaves in Massachusetts, 91.3 FM. On the internet, it's WCUW.org. And the direct link is WCUW.org/listen. That's for the live broadcast, which is currently 4:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Thursdays. And the archives are at both sites. One is my website, which is vegansradio.wordpress.com.
Mm-hmm.
So it has all the archive shows since 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And then another site is actually the radio station index. So it's really not a website, it's just like a skeleton index,
Yeah.
but
Right.
it does have all the MP3s directly, which is WCUW.org/Vegan Nation.
Awesome.
There we go. No excuse not to listen to all those old
Mhm.
shows and get your mind unnarrowed, huh?
And for all of our friends on YouTube, if you wanted to go back and look at our shows,
Oh.
you can always take a look at Calling All Vegans, the name of our channel. Please feel free to like and subscribe. We'd love to hear from you. And we wanted to say thank you so much for taking some time to be on the show. It was a great pleasure to speak with you, and we look forward to hearing more about your upcoming endeavors.
Thank you very much, Alex. Thank you very much, Sue.
Oh, thank you, Marlene. Okay, well, I guess that's it.
Awesome. Take care, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening, viewing.
That was good.